Ancient wisdom whispers across time, revealing a cosmic blueprint so profound it transforms every soul brave enough to embrace its teachings. The Kybalion, a mysterious manuscript attributed to the legendary Hermes Trismegistus, contains 7 universal principles governing all existence. These laws operate silently behind every moment, every thought, every particle of your reality. Egyptian adepts guarded these secrets for millennia, passing them through whispered initiations to those deemed worthy. Today, this knowledge emerges from shadows, ready to illuminate your path toward mastery of self and universe. The universe speaks through patterns, rhythms, and laws, constant and unchanging. While modern science scrambles to decode reality's mysteries, ancient initiates already mapped the cosmic architecture through direct communion with universal intelligence. The Kybalion represents this mapping, a distillation of Hermetic wisdom tracing back to Egypt's spiritual golden age. This manuscript reveals how reality functions through 7 fundamental principles, operating across all planes of existence. Imagine holding keys that unlock every door in creation. The 7 Hermetic laws function precisely this way. They explain everything from quantum physics to human psychology, from cosmic cycles to personal transformation. These principles weave through all spiritual traditions, scientific discoveries, and philosophical systems, forming the hidden architecture supporting all manifestation. The first principle, mentalism, establishes the foundation. The all is mind, the universe is mental. This radical declaration asserts that physical reality emerges from consciousness rather than consciousness emerging from matter. Your world exists as a mental construct within the infinite mind of the universe. Physical matter, energy, thoughts, emotions, all manifest as different expressions of this universal consciousness. Modern quantum physics echoes this ancient wisdom through discoveries showing observer effects on particle behavior and the wave function collapse. Reality behaves more like thought than solid matter. Contemplate this. Every object around you, the device you're using, the air you breathe, your physical body, exists primarily as mental phenomena within cosmic consciousness. This principle shatters materialist worldviews, revealing why visualization, meditation, and focused intention produce tangible effects. Your thoughts participate directly in universal mind, influencing reality's unfolding. Masters throughout history accessed this knowledge, performing what appeared as miracles through alignment with mental law. The principle of mentalism explains why your thoughts shape your experience so profoundly. When you dwell on negativity, your reality darkens. When you cultivate gratitude and positivity, circumstances transform accordingly. This occurs because your individual mind operates within universal mind. Your thoughts ripple through the cosmic mental field, attracting resonant experiences. The ancient Hermetic axiom, "as within, so without," captures this relationship perfectly. Your external reality mirrors your internal state because both exist within the same mental medium. The second Hermetic principle, correspondence, reveals the elegant symmetry between all levels of existence. Encapsulated in the famous axiom, "as above, so below, as below, so above," this law establishes that patterns repeat across scales throughout the universe. The macrocosm reflects in the microcosm. The dance of electrons around an atomic nucleus mirrors planets orbiting stars. Human relationships echo cosmic forces. This principle provides the foundation for symbolic systems like astrology, sacred geometry, and the tarot, each capturing universal patterns in different symbolic languages. Correspondence explains why studying one level of reality yields insights about others. Your body contains the same elements found in distant stars. Your nervous system branches like cosmic filaments, connecting galactic clusters. Your DNA spirals like galaxies. This principle reveals why ancient wisdom often comes packaged in metaphors and parables. These symbolic stories encode multidimensional truths applicable across many levels of existence. The practical application of correspondence empowers you to understand large-scale phenomena by examining their smaller reflections. Want to comprehend cosmic cycles? Study natural seasons. Seeking insight into social dynamics? Observe how cells cooperate within your body. This principle validates the Hermetic practice of using ritual, symbol, and ceremony to influence larger realities through smaller, controlled actions. Moving to the third principle, vibration, we discover that nothing remains truly still. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. From subatomic particles to galaxies, from thoughts to physical objects, everything exists in constant motion at varying frequencies. This principle explains why different emotional states feel physically different in your body. Anger vibrates differently than peace. Love resonates at a higher frequency than fear. Modern physics confirms this ancient insight, revealing that seemingly solid matter consists primarily of empty space with vibrating energy. The difference between lead and gold, between water and stone, between any two substances, lies primarily in their rate of vibration. Masters of Hermetic wisdom understood that by controlling vibration, they could transform one substance into another. The philosophical basis for alchemy. Your thoughts and emotions broadcast specific vibrational signatures, attracting experiences of matching frequency. When you shift your emotional state, you literally tune yourself to different potential experiences. This explains why maintaining high-vibration emotional states, joy, gratitude, love, creates tangible improvements in your circumstances. You become a different frequency receiver, picking up different broadcast realities. The fourth principle, polarity, reveals that everything is dual. Everything has poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Hot and cold represent different degrees of the same phenomenon. Light and darkness differ only in intensity. Love and hate constitute extremes of the same emotional spectrum. This principle shatters the illusion of absolute opposites, revealing that apparent contradictions actually represent varying degrees along a continuum. Understanding polarity grants tremendous power over your mental state. By recognizing that depression and joy occupy opposite ends of the same spectrum, you gain the ability to mentally shift along this spectrum through focused attention. This practice, called mental transmutation, allows adepts to transform negative emotions into positive ones through conscious polarization toward the desired state. The principle of polarity further reveals why conflict persists in human experience. When people perceive differences as absolute oppositions rather than relative positions on a spectrum, reconciliation becomes impossible. Political divisions, religious conflicts, and personal disagreements all stem from failure to recognize the underlying unity connecting apparent opposites. By understanding that opposing viewpoints share common ground at deeper levels, you gain the wisdom to bridge divides through finding intermediate positions. The fifth Hermetic principle, rhythm, establishes that everything flows, out and in. Everything has its tides, all things rise and fall. Cycles dominate all aspects of existence. Economic booms follow busts. Cultural periods of expansion alternate with contraction. Personal energy ebbs and flows. Even consciousness cycles between different states: waking, dreaming, deep sleep. This principle reveals why nothing remains permanent, why change represents the only constant in the universe. Masters of Hermetic wisdom learn to work with these rhythmic cycles, rather than fighting against them. They recognize that attempting to maintain any state permanently violates universal law. Instead, they develop the ability to position themselves advantageously within natural cycles, much as skilled sailors use tides and winds rather than fighting against them. This principle explains why timing proves crucial in all endeavors. Actions aligned with natural rhythms succeed more easily than those working against prevailing cycles. The law of rhythm provides profound comfort during difficult periods. When suffering through downward cycles, remember that upward movement inevitably follows. Conversely, during periods of success and abundance, prepare wisely for the eventual shift. This wisdom prevents both despair during challenges and complacency during prosperity. By understanding life's rhythmic nature, you develop equanimity, the balanced perspective that transcends temporary conditions. The sixth principle, cause and effect, states that every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Nothing happens by chance or outside the boundary of law. Every action triggers consequences. Every circumstance results from prior causes. This principle establishes the foundation for karma, scientific determinism, and the concept of cosmic justice. While random chance may appear to govern events, deeper examination always reveals causal chains connecting all phenomena. This principle explains why similar individuals facing identical circumstances often experience dramatically different outcomes. Each person brings different causal seeds from past actions, thoughts, and choices. These causal factors determine how present circumstances unfold for each individual. Understanding this law empowers you to create desired effects by establishing appropriate causes, rather than hoping for lucky breaks or miraculous interventions. The law of cause and effect reveals why focused intention combined with aligned action produces seemingly magical results. When you understand the causal mechanisms operating in any situation, you gain the power to influence outcomes by adjusting inputs. This principle underlies all scientific advancement, spiritual development, and personal achievement. By becoming conscious of causal relationships, you transform from a passive victim of circumstances into an active creator of your experience. The seventh and final Hermetic principle, gender, establishes that gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. This law transcends biological sex, revealing complementary energies operating throughout creation. The masculine principle embodies directed action, logical analysis, and outward expression. The feminine principle manifests as receptivity, intuition, and inward nurturing. These energies exist within every person, every organization, every creative process, and every natural system. The principle of gender explains why creation requires both active and receptive forces. A seed, masculine, requires fertile soil, feminine, to grow. An idea, masculine, needs receptive implementation, feminine, to manifest. Electrical systems require both positive and negative poles to function. This principle reveals why balanced development demands cultivating both aspects within yourself: analytical thinking alongside intuitive knowing, assertive action alongside receptive listening. Understanding gender illuminates why many spiritual traditions emphasize unifying these complementary forces. Taoist concepts of yin and yang, Hindu representations of Shiva and Shakti, and alchemical wedding of sun and moon all represent this same fundamental principle. When these energies achieve balance within an individual, extraordinary creativity, healing, and spiritual awakening become possible. Internal conflict resolves when masculine and feminine aspects work in harmony rather than opposition. These 7 Hermetic laws interweave, forming an integrated system explaining all phenomena across all planes of existence. They operate together, creating the cosmic web governing reality. Mentalism establishes mind as the fundamental substance. Correspondence reveals structural similarities across scales. Vibration explains how different manifestations arise from the same substance. Polarity shows how apparent opposites connect along continuums. Rhythm describes cyclic patterns governing all processes. Cause and effect establishes lawful relationships between events. Gender reveals complementary forces necessary for creation. The interconnection between these principles explains why mastering one area facilitates growth in others. As you understand mentalism more deeply, you naturally grasp vibration better, seeing how thoughts vibrate at different frequencies. As you work with polarity, you simultaneously develop insight into rhythm, recognizing how polarities shift cyclically. This integrated nature explains why genuine spiritual development proceeds holistically rather than in isolated compartments. Suffering results directly from ignorance or defiance of these universal laws. When you resist natural rhythms, you experience stress and burnout. When you ignore cause-effect relationships, you face seemingly random negative consequences. When you maintain mental states vibrating at frequencies of fear, anger, or despair, you attract matching external conditions. When you fail to balance masculine and feminine energies, you experience internal conflict and relationship difficulties. Consider how these principles manifest in daily challenges. Financial struggles often stem from misalignment with the law of cause and effect. Spending patterns disconnected from earning patterns create predictable outcomes. Relationship conflicts frequently arise from gender imbalance. Excessive masculine energy creates domination, while excessive feminine energy leads to codependence. Health problems commonly reflect violations of rhythm, pushing constantly without honoring natural cycles of activity and rest. The path toward freedom begins with recognizing these laws at work in your life. Rather than viewing challenges as random misfortunes or divine punishment, see them as feedback revealing where your thoughts, beliefs, or actions misalign with universal principles. This perspective transforms difficulties from meaningless suffering into valuable guidance. Each challenge points precisely to which principle requires deeper understanding and application. Consider practical applications in daily life. The law of mentalism empowers you to monitor and direct your thoughts, recognizing their creative power. Start each morning by consciously establishing your mental state, knowing this creates the foundation for your day's experiences. Practice meditation to develop awareness of how your mind generates your perceptual reality. Notice how different thoughts produce different emotional and physical sensations. The law of correspondence provides a framework for solving problems through analogy and metaphor. When facing complex challenges, look for similar patterns in simpler systems. Relationship difficulties might mirror cellular processes where boundaries become either too rigid or too permeable. Career obstacles might reflect patterns visible in natural ecosystems where adaptation and specialization determine survival. This principle transforms ordinary experiences into profound teachers by revealing their connection to universal patterns. Applying the law of vibration involves becoming conscious of your energetic state and deliberately shifting toward higher frequencies. Notice how environments, activities, and people affect your vibrational state. Curate your surroundings to support elevated frequencies. Fill your space with inspiring art, music, and objects. Practice gratitude, which instantly raises your vibration. Speak words that vibrate with truth, beauty, and power, rather than complaint, criticism, or cynicism. Working with polarity requires developing the mental flexibility to move along continuums rather than becoming trapped at extremes. When feeling anxious, recognize this as one pole on a spectrum with calm at the opposite end. Through conscious mental effort, gradually shift your position along this spectrum toward greater peace. Apply this same approach to all emotional states, developing the alchemical skill of transmuting lead states into gold. Honoring rhythm means aligning with natural cycles rather than fighting against them. Observe your personal energy patterns throughout the day, week, and month. Schedule demanding activities during your natural high-energy periods. Allow for rest and receptivity during low-energy phases. Recognize larger life cycles, periods for outward achievement versus times for inward growth. Resistance to these natural rhythms creates suffering. Alignment brings ease and flow. Mastering cause and effect involves taking complete responsibility for your circumstances while simultaneously developing strategic patience. Plant causal seeds aligned with your desired outcomes, actions, thoughts, words, and energy states that must logically produce your intended results. Then cultivate patience. Knowing causes require time to manifest effects. This balanced approach prevents both passive waiting and frustrated forcing. Balancing gender energies requires honoring both active and receptive aspects of any process. In creative projects, alternate between periods of inspired action, masculine, and reflective gestation, feminine. In relationships, practice both clear communication, masculine, and deep listening, feminine. In problem-solving, employ both logical analysis, masculine, and intuitive insight, feminine. This balance creates wholeness, preventing the limitations that arise from over-reliance on either energy. These practical applications transform abstract Hermetic principles into lived wisdom. Through consistent practice, these laws become less theoretical concepts and more direct experiences. You begin recognizing their operation everywhere, in personal challenges, world events, natural processes, and spiritual experiences. This recognition develops what Hermeticists call the all-seeing eye, the ability to perceive universal patterns behind apparent diversity. The ancient Egyptians symbolized this integrated understanding through the Eye of Horus, representing complete perception across all dimensions. This symbol captured the ultimate aim of Hermetic study, developing comprehensive vision that perceives both material and spiritual realities simultaneously. Through mastering the 7 laws, you gradually develop this unified perception, seeing beyond surface appearances into underlying principles. The path toward mastery follows 3 distinct stages. First comes intellectual understanding, grasping these principles conceptually through study and reflection. Next develops practical application, experimenting with these laws in daily life, observing their effects firsthand. Finally emerges embodiment. These principles become so integrated into your consciousness that you operate in natural alignment without conscious effort. This final stage represents true mastery. Throughout history, individuals achieving this level of mastery appeared miraculous to others. Their ability to manifest desired outcomes, maintain emotional equilibrium amid challenges, heal physical conditions, and access expanded states of consciousness seemed supernatural. Yet these capabilities represent natural expressions of alignment with universal law rather than violations of it. The masters simply understood and applied what most people ignore. The journey toward mastering these 7 Hermetic laws begins with a single step: conscious awareness. Start noticing their operation in your daily experience. When emotions arise, observe them through the lens of vibration and polarity. When circumstances manifest, trace their origins through cause and effect. When facing challenges, consider which principles might offer solutions. This observational practice gradually shifts your perception from fragmented to unified, from reactive to creative. The Kybalion teaches that these principles remain unchangeable while their applications vary infinitely. Like mathematics, the underlying laws stay constant, while their expressions produce endless variety. 2 plus 2 always equals 4, yet this simple formula generates countless practical applications. Similarly, the 7 Hermetic laws maintain their integrity across all times and places while manifesting uniquely in each situation. Consider how these principles illuminate modern scientific discoveries. Quantum physics reveals reality's observer-dependent nature, precisely what mentalism predicted thousands of years earlier. Fractal mathematics demonstrates self-similar patterns across scales, exactly what correspondence describes. String theory proposes vibrating filaments as reality's foundation, directly aligning with the principle of vibration. The ancient and modern worldviews converge when viewed through the Hermetic lens. The practical power of these principles becomes most evident during life's greatest challenges. When facing loss, the law of rhythm provides perspective. All conditions change cyclically, including grief. During conflict, understanding polarity reveals common ground beneath apparent opposition. When feeling powerless, cause and effect reminds you that new causes create different future effects. These principles transform from philosophical concepts into essential survival tools during difficult passages. The ultimate purpose of studying these laws transcends mere personal advantage. While applying these principles certainly improves individual circumstances, their deeper value lies in expanding consciousness. As you align with universal law, your awareness naturally grows beyond personal concerns toward cosmic perspective. You begin experiencing yourself less as a separate entity and more as an expression of universal mind. This shift represents the true goal of Hermetic study: spiritual awakening rather than material manipulation. Ancient traditions worldwide recognize these same principles under different names and symbols. Hindu concepts of Maya parallel mentalism. Buddhist teachings on interdependence reflect correspondence. Taoist descriptions of qi align with vibration. Christian parables about sowing and reaping illustrate cause and effect. These diverse traditions approach the same universal truths from different cultural perspectives, each capturing aspects of the cosmic code governing reality. The 7 Hermetic laws offer a comprehensive framework for understanding existence across all dimensions: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. They explain why certain practices produce consistent results across diverse spiritual traditions. Prayer, meditation, ritual, service, and study work universally because they align practitioners with fundamental laws regardless of theological differences. The outer forms vary, while the inner principles remain constant. Your journey with these principles continues long after this exploration ends. Each day brings fresh opportunities to recognize and apply these laws. Each challenge offers a laboratory for testing their validity. Each relationship provides a mirror reflecting your level of alignment. The Hermetic path unfolds endlessly, revealing deeper layers of understanding as consciousness expands. What begins as intellectual curiosity evolves into direct knowing through lived experience. The ancient Egyptians symbolized this evolutionary journey through the scarab beetle, rolling its ball of dung uphill, representing consciousness elevating matter through persistent effort. This powerful image captures the essence of Hermetic practice, transforming lower vibrations into higher ones through conscious application of universal principles. The path demands dedication, yet promises extraordinary rewards, nothing less than conscious participation in cosmic creation. The Kybalion concludes with a profound invitation. The lips of wisdom are closed, except to the ears of understanding. This cryptic statement reveals that universal laws remain hidden in plain sight, visible only to those who develop eyes to see. These principles operate constantly, whether recognized or not, yet conscious alignment multiplies their beneficial effects exponentially. The choice remains yours: to live unconsciously pushed by invisible forces, or to awaken to these principles and become their conscious collaborator. As this exploration of the 7 Hermetic laws concludes, remember that true wisdom comes through application rather than mere knowledge. The ancient masters valued practical results above theoretical understanding. They measured progress by transformed lives rather than memorized concepts. Honor their legacy by testing these principles through direct experience, allowing their truth to reveal itself through your own journey of discovery. The cosmic code governing everything now lies before you. 7 keys unlocking reality's deepest mysteries. The principles of mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender form an integrated system explaining all phenomena across all planes. Their mastery offers nothing less than conscious participation in creation itself. The ancient wisdom whispers across millennia, inviting you to step into your power as a conscious creator, aligned with universal law.